The most notable report coming from inside Iran is citizens and contacts reaching out with videos demonstrating how regime forces are using civilian infrastructure as a shield. So we saw the repression apparatus embedding itself in specifically schools throughout the country. We know the IRGC has been using hospitals to hold the meeting, and it's not some covert operation. Their spokesperson officially held a press conference inside a school because he knows he's going to be a target. Of course, like father, like son, similar with Hamas, we're seeing the same strategy be deployed. And if you look at the targeted nature of Israeli attacks, sometimes it goes beyond just the specific building, and it actually takes out one particular floor of a building. So this is the precision we're dealing with. To the average Iranian, they see this as a point of no return. Of course, this was the help that was promised to them that is on the way. And the mindset is increasingly revolutionary. And as for the 1100, it's still not verified how many of them are one of these part of the Basij militia. The idea that they're civilians has not by any means been confirmed. Of course, war is going to have catastrophic consequences, but so far we cannot verify anything that is being reported by the Islamic Republic or other outlets.
Interesting. You know, Iran's top clerics are reportedly scrambling to select a new supreme leader after Khamenei's death. What does that process even look like right now? Obviously, we're seeing a lot of Iranians say that even if somebody were to be selected at this point, it wouldn't be legitimate. And what are the potential implications of choosing a new successor at this point for the stability of Iran?
The most interesting thing comes as they're entertaining whether they should select Khamenei's son, Mojtaba, as supreme leader. He is the one that has the IRGC's blessing. He's the one that knows how to operate behind the scenes. He knows the politics, even though he's not experienced and has never exercised that. But that said, that would pose a major legitimacy challenge because the Islamic Republic overthrew a monarchy claiming that power should not be hereditary. But now we're seeing that form of succession, which is why many clerics are concerned. But that said, as to how it would implicate the domestic politics, so the armed forces, primarily the IRGC, have been using the clerical and religious backing to justify and legitimize their rule. Without that, the Islamic Republic would simply look like a military dictatorship. We all knew that's what it was behind the scenes, but now they'd be exposing that cover. And of course, I can't imagine any Ayatollah right now would be volunteering for the position, given the nature of the attacks.
Right. Now, I want to talk, obviously, about these reports. We've been seeing that Iranian Kurdish militias are set to launch attacks against the IRGC right now. And this is in coordination with the United States as well as a means of trying to get ordinary Iranians to stand up and fight against the regime. Obviously, we're seeing kind of mixed responses to this from the Iranian diaspora. On one hand, people are saying they want anything to be done possible to essentially remove this regime, and they don't believe that military power from the United States and Israel could do that by itself. On the other hand, there are concerns about the separatist fallout that could come as a result of the Kurds getting involved. What do you know about this?
You're right to point out that the messaging would be further complicated if the United States or Israel were to leverage separatist movements. Of course, the messaging for so long has been this is a campaign to liberate the Iranian nation from tyranny. The signals coming from Israel talking about Persia's glorious past would directly contradict any means of pursuing ethnocentric policies in the Middle East. That's on one hand. But when it comes to the operational side of things, you're talking about a few thousand fighters versus about 10,000, if not 100,000 IRGC ground forces in the Basij. In addition to that, these groups are deeply fragmented. So you're not even talking about one Kurdish entity. Within the Iranian Kurdish groups themselves, there's at least 5 factions. And even within them, there's splintered between different groups. One of them, actually, Pejak, being designated by the Treasury because of its ties to an FDO, PKK. So any unified command would have made this look more promising that we have not seen so far. And again, it's one is messaging, and the other side is the capability of these groups, whether they would have the potential to pose a meaningful threat against the Islamic Republic.